What is going on, Dolphins fans? Welcome back to the Fins Up Network. It's Ben Morgan, and in today's video, we're going to recap, we're going to highlight everything that happened from the 8th day of training camp, at least the 8th day that the players have been on the field for training camp. And in today's video, we've got some actual video footage, highlights of Raheem Mostert carrying the ball. We've got some great footage for you offensive line folks out there, the big fans of the O-line, because we know we need the improvement. We got some highlights of Austin Jackson with a little pancake action on Jalen Phillips. So we will get to that. But first, let's jump right into Mike McDaniel's media availability today, because he talked a little bit about the offensive line and said, this is good news, expects Michael Deiter to return from that foot injury sooner rather than later. And that is good news considering the issues that we're kind of seeing so far in camp at center. And I'm going to talk a little bit more in depth as the video goes on, but wanted to at least get that update about Deiter out there. He also talked about the whole idea of players expressing frustration through social media. We know Preston Williams is the case in point right here, but Mike McDaniel said, "I see better than I hear." And I love that quote. This guy's never coming up short on quotes and great lines, essentially saying, you know what, go do it on the field. I will see you with my own two eyes. I will find ways to get you with the ball. You need to prove it. But Preston has not done that. And it was another day where Preston really wasn't getting his number call. We don't have any great highlights from him. He was not the focal point of really anything with the offense. Once again, he is on the outside looking in. I am beating a dead horse right here. He just isn't a fit for this offense. I think it's just a matter of time before he is more so an afterthought. I mean, he already is, but maybe not even on the team at this point. Also, let's talk about Byron Jones. Mike McDaniel talked about him today. He says, barring any setbacks, should be available for week 1. Great news for us. Still good, though, that guys like Trill Williams are coming in, emerging, really kind of showing out after being undrafted free agent or not really even being able to participate last year. But good thing that he is still showing out. Didn't really get his name called either today. But the great thing about cornerbacks in training camp, not necessarily always hearing their name, is it doesn't mean that they were on the wrong end of a play. So good news for Byron Jones, good news for Trill Williams. And finally, asked about how Tua and his handling of the Tom Brady news. And you know what? Mike McDaniel just said, Tua hasn't shown him one thing that's led him to believe that Tua can't personally control things that are like outside of what he can impact on his own. Said every starting quarterback needs to perform like their job is on the line. And that's the perfect answer. And it's coach speak. But at the end of the day, how are we still here? Why are we still asking Tua these questions? Why are we still asking McDaniel these questions? And I get it. I've said it before. A lot of these reporters, it's the headline, it's the click. But at the end of the day, just put this behind us. Put it behind us so we can just stop reporting on it. So let's stop reporting on it and let's just go into some of the practice notes, because Teron Armstead, Tyreek Hill, Chase Edmonds all back to practice today after having Wednesday off. And then players not spotted at practice included John Lovett, Michael Deiter, Byron Jones, who's obviously is still on the PUP, Elijah Campbell, and Clayton Fejedelem. But today's orange jersey wearer went to Andrew Van Ginkel. It was his first time donning the orange jersey. And I mean, he was just part of that defensive brigade, easy for you to say. That was just disruptive in the pass game and the run game during Wednesday's practice. Saw more of that today. We'll get more into that here as the training camp notes go on as well. But right away in practice, because this was kind of like it for the offense. It was a day, once again, kind of dominated on the defensive side of the ball. But Tua hit Tyreek early in red zone drills for a 3rd down touchdown. Tyreek had another 25-yard sideline toe tap from Tua. But I want to talk more so about that red zone touchdown from Tua to Tyreek, because if you look at what Tyreek brings to the table, the casual fan, most people think, well, it's a fast guy. This is a burner. It's a guy that's making plays down the field. It's a guy that creates after the catch. But actually, if you look at some of Tyreek's tape, the dude is a menace by the goal line. And it's kind of interesting because I remember like football from back in the day. You wanted that red zone target. You wanted that big body guy that could box out, go up and get the jump balls. There's still a place in this league for that. But the league has gotten to a point where everything is so much more based on timing and being precise and being where you need to be at a certain part of the play. And with Tyreek's speed and with his route running and with the way that this timing offense works, he is actually one of the better goal line red zone wide receivers that you can have. So I think the success that he has around the goal line is probably going to come to a shock to some Dolphins fans as the season goes on. But it's something I think that we're going to notice early is how he is target, how he is a focal point when this team is going to utilize the passing game within the 5-yard line. So just wanted to get that out there as well. But let's jump into some running back talk as well, because this is where we got some of the videos as well from today's practice. Chase Edmonds got out to a strong start, first play of practice before the defense really started taking over. I want to show this play because it's a good run by Edmonds, but at the end of the day, it's the block by Austin Jackson. And here you go. You can see Jackson's playing right tackle. Well, fullback's going to go in motion. And now that you've seen it once, I'll show it again. But what you're going to love to see here is Austin Jackson gets off the snap great, makes that contact with Jalen Phillips, of all people, with Jalen Phillips, who has had a tremendous camp. Not only gets into the right position, seals off that edge, and then pancakes him to the ground. So you'll see it here. Motion. There goes the snap. He's already in position, seals the edge, takes him to the ground. You got a double-digit yard carry right then and there for Chase Edmonds. And now we've got Raheem Mostert, who also had a nice run later in practice. And I want to show this one for a reason as well, but we'll show it real quick. You got a wide receiver coming in motion. Hand up right off the middle, and it's that one cut and get up the field. But why I like this play, you're going to see the wide receiver go in motion from right to left. The handoff actually goes to that left side, but it's the idea that in this offense, everyone can block that way, and you get the zone and you get the hole. And because that wide receiver went in motion, it's a numbers game. You get more people on the other side of the center, essentially, and then you can start that way. And when that cutback is there, there's likely going to be one less guy that you're going to have to worry about getting a hat on, getting a man on. So it becomes a numbers game, and Mike McDaniel is all about that numbers game. So good to see Mostert doing that. Obviously, he had time with McDaniel with the San Francisco 49ers, so he is kind of ahead of the curve on how some of these runs work, but great to see nonetheless. Talk a little bit more about Tyreek. Also had, so he had the red zone touchdown with Tua, also had a 5-yard touchdown in red zone work with Skylar Thompson. He simply takes the offense to another level. I've got a video that's coming out pretty soon here that previews exactly what he and Jalen Waddle do to opposing defenses when they are on the field at the same time. I don't have a date on when that's going to be released yet, but keep an eye out for that one. Everybody's favorite camp wide receiver right now, that's not one of the main guys, Braylon Sanders, another 25-plus yard touchdown today from Teddy B. Sounds like that play might have ended in a sack if defenses were allowed to finish at the quarterback. But what we're seeing is more usage, more success from Braylon Sanders, all good stuff. Didn't hear much from Eric Ezukanma today, but on the other side, he's a rookie. He's, like I said, he's not going to flash every single day. But guess what? We didn't hear from Preston. We didn't hear from Lynn Bowden Jr. as well. Just wasn't the offense's best day in general. But I said I wanted to talk a little bit more about the offensive line as well. So some offensive line notes. Adam Pankey may have been that guy that we previously reported was like the unidentified center that was doing a little bit of cross training behind Connor Williams, because he was noted for a high snap to Teddy Bridgewater today. Connor Williams also had 2 high snaps in a row. The first one that he had threw off the timing on a run play. The second one resulted in a sack for Noah Igbenogany. So it's got to make you wonder. This is what I want to talk about. When is the cutoff for this experiment? Because maybe Liam Eichenberg is performing well enough at left guard that you don't really feel the need to move Connor Williams back to his original position of left guard. But at the end of the day, if Connor Williams can't get it done at center, if he can't get the ball to the quarterback in an offense where so many things are based on timing, at some point you have to have an expiration date on this experiment and go another direction. And that likely would mean having Connor Williams go back to left guard. But I don't know. We'll see at this point, because there's still some free agent centers available. And I know that they want to give, especially if Liam Eichenberg is playing well enough at left guard, they're going to want Connor Williams to be the guy at center. And they're doing the right things. He and Tua are staying after practice. They're getting more reps. But at the end of the day, if you can't get it done, you cannot have snap issues being what sets off an offense that's based on timing. Let's go to the other side of the ball. The defensive line, John Jenkins, getting his name called, getting credited with a solid practice. In general, a couple of solid run stops. And why I bring him up is because his availability and performance is becoming more important following the release of Adam Butler, which happened a couple of days ago. So good seeing John Jenkins contributing now that his number's being called. Sacks for the day, Porter Gustin. That's 2 days in a row. Porter's getting his name called there. So that's good to see. From a free agent linebacker there, Zach Sealer, who also had a couple of tackles for losses in the run game, and Emmanuel Ogba. I want to bring up one highlight from today's player media availability because they asked Teron Armstead about the defensive line, and he had talked about just how good they've been and how consistent they've been. And he called that signing of Melvin Ingram underrated. He gave him a shout by name, and one other player he gave a shout by name. And we've seen a couple of players doing it now as well, because Tyreek and Waddle did it back on, I think it was Saturday of last week during training camp. Christian Wilkins said Christian Wilkins is in line for a monster statistical season, and he's going to become a household name very soon. But I want to end today's video with some more quarterback talk here real quick, because I've seen some chatter as I was doing some prep work for this video about Miami and the idea of them keeping Skylar Thompson over Teddy Bridgewater. And while I'm not ready to make any sort of predictions right now, there's a lot to sort out. Yeah, we haven't even hit a preseason game yet. I want to talk more about some factors that are going to come into play for that decision. And number one, money. If the Dolphins feel the need that they can go cheap at backup quarterback, Skylar Thompson is the guy. That's the no-brainer. Teddy Bridgewater is one of the highest paid backups, if not the highest paid backup in the league. So if money is going to be a factor, yeah, Skylar may have an edge in there. However, if your concern of injury is going to be a point, which it should, because there probably is a little concern with injury because Tua's injury history. We've never seen him play a full season. If that's a concern, if that's going to be the biggest factor, Teddy Bridgewater has that upper hand because of his experience. We're talking about Teddy Bridgewater, who has been a starter for a couple of different teams in this league now, versus Skylar Thompson, who was almost like an experimental 7th-round draft pick. So Teddy Bridgewater would hands down have the upper hand if it came down to injury. But finally, performance. Performance obviously matters. Ask your ladies. Performance matters. And Skylar Thompson would not only have to dominate in these training camp sessions, but that kind of performance would have to translate over into the preseason games as well. He's going to have to show it in game action, because if something happened to Tua and they let go of Teddy and Skylar Thompson was the backup, they need to know that he can get it done with an in-game position. In-game experience is going to be huge. And for Skylar Thompson's sake, he maybe would even need Teddy Bridgewater to not look that great with in-game experience. The thing is with Teddy, you already have his film on tape. You kind of know what you're getting out of Bridgewater. So performance-based, Skylar Thompson would have to crush it throughout training camp and throughout preseason. So like I said, not making any predictions on it, just laying out a few different scenarios that the front office, the coaching staff is going to have to consider when making a call on the backup quarterback. But that's what I have today, Miami Dolphins fans. Let me know your thoughts on today's training camp performance in the comments below. And until next time, Fins